Always itchy nose. Hi, everybody. This is Kudo, and this is not for you, but for me. I'm going to be reading Vecna, Eve of Ruin, starting from chapter 4, because that's the next one that I need. Chap- chapter 4, The Ruined Colossus. I need to know that it's still up. Okay. This chapter begins after the characters retrieve the second piece of the Rod of Seven Parts. The characters can knit the pieces together or keep them separate as described in the introduction. Regardless, when a character holds the second piece of the rod, they intuitively know that the next piece is located somewhere on the continent of Corvair on the world of Eberron. Specifically, the piece lies in the Mournland, on the slopes of Mount Ironrot. Specifically, the piece lies in the Mournland, on the slopes of Mount Ironrot. If the characters ask the Wizards 3 in the Sigil Sanctum why, it's unclear exactly where the third piece is located. If the characters ask the three wizards in the Sigil Sanctum why it's unclear exactly where the third piece is located, Illustrial shares the information in Exploring Mount Ironrot section later in this chapter. This chapter first describes Mount Ironrot, including locations and encounters awaiting the characters. The chapter then details the ruins of a colossus called Londro, whose dangers the characters must survive to claim the third piece of the Rod of Seven Parts. The characters should be 13th level when this chapter begins. The characters gain a level after they retrieve the third piece of the Rod of Seven Parts from the gray matter engine of Londro. The characters gain a level after they retrieve a third piece of the Rod of Seven Parts from the gray matter engine of Londro. Power of Secrets. The characters can learn 2 secrets in this chapter that are applicable to the rules in the Power of Secrets section in this book's introduction. Mercy's secret. Mercy is the leader of a band of warforged pilgrims. Mercy was separated from their best friend, the warforged Filch. After the two were separated after the day of mourning, huh, that's a weird sentence. Mercy was separated from their best friend, the warforged Filch, after the two were separated after the day of mourning. They feel guilty that they haven't searched for Filch. Characters can learn Mercy's secret in the Warforged Pilgrim section later in this chapter. Khalith's secret. Khalith, the leader of a band of veterans, lost valuable magic items and money that could have prevented the current financial strain she and her allies are under. Characters can learn Khalith's secret in the Veterans Camp section later in this chapter. Third rod piece. The third piece of the Rod of Seven Parts is found in area L28 within Londro. For more information about the rod and the spell this piece allows the wielder to cast, see the book's introduction. Doorway to Eberron. Before seeking the third rod piece, the characters can rest and prepare in the sanctum in sigil. By doing some research in Sigil or conversing with the Wizards 3, the characters can learn the following about their next destination. Ruins of War. The Mournland is a ruined wasteland. Before the last war, a global conflict waged across the continent of Corvair for over a century. The Mournland was the nation of Sire. An apocalyptic event called the Day of Mourning destroyed Sire and transformed the region. Remnants of the last war's battlefield, such as the fire-spewing war machines known as Colossi, lie strewn about the Mournland, and Warforge wander the land. Georgie, get down! No, get down! Down! No, 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 no. Remnants of the last war's battlefields, such as the fire-spewing war machines known as colossi, lie strewn about the Mournland, and Warforged wander the land. Warforged. Warforged are common on Kuvare. These constructs are formed from wood and steel, then magically imbued with life and sentience. Warforged were originally created to fight in the last war, though many survived that conflict and now try to understand their place. Unreliable magic. In the Mournland, magic doesn't always function as intended, particularly teleportation and divination magic. See the regional effects section later in this chapter for more. An important detail. The Mount Ironrot region is a wasteland scattered with broken war machines. Before the characters leave Sigil for Mount Ironrot, the Wizards 3 share their concerns that the Rod piece will be particularly challenging to find, since the Mournland is difficult to navigate. The Wizards suspect that the Rod piece is hidden in one of the dozens of ruined colossi scattered across Mount Ironrot, as shown on map 4.1. Instead of searching each colossus individually, the wizards suggest augmenting the rod's divining power with local magic that can penetrate the Mournland's impeded navigation. The characters can do this by tuning their second rod piece to a working docent from inside one of the falling colossi. A docent is a small, sentient metal sphere that employs its sentience and magic on behalf of an attuned warforge. The full description of a docent is found in the Finding a Docent section later in this chapter. The wizards correctly postulate that Dawson's magic will stabilize and augment the rod's divining power so that it will directly point the way to the third piece. About Dawsons. Long ago, colossi were powered and controlled by Dawsons. The techniques and tools to create Dawsons were lost, but working Dawsons can sometimes still be found in colossi. The Wizard 3 suggests the characters finding a working Dawson and tune it to the rod piece. Mount Ironrot. When characters are ready, they can step through the doorway in Sigil. They arrive outside a jet black glass oval por- They arrive outside a jet black glass oval portal near the slopes of Mount Ironrot. As the characters search for a docent, they encounter the Mournland denizens described in the subsequent Mount Ironrot encounters section. Run an encounter each time the characters travel from one location to another. All three encounters should occur before the characters proceed to the Landro section. From their expeditions and these encounters, the characters learn of a working docent in a ruined village called Lalos. They also learn that this docent is central to a conflict between rival groups of Mournland scavengers, a band of veterans, and a community of warforged pilgrims. Exploring Mount Ironrot. Use the following rules when the characters travel around Mount Ironrot. Regional effects. Mount Ironrot is affected by these environmental phenomena. Impeded navigation. In outdoor areas, creatures have disadvantage on wisdom survival checks made to navigate. Lightly obscured. Mist perpetually shrouds outdoor areas, rendering them lightly obscured. Muddled magic. Creatures and objects within a mile of Mount Ironrot can't be perceived through magical scrying sensors. Spells or magical effects that would reveal a character's Spells or magical effects that would reveal a creature's or object's location fail when that creature or object is within 1 mile of the mountain. The third piece of the Rod of Seven Parts only points to Mount Ironrock without precision. Traveling. Distances between locations anywhere in Mournland are indeterminate and ever-changing. Map 4.1 shows the approximate positions of locations and Mount Ironrot relative to one another. The map doesn't include a scale due to this effect. Whenever the characters level from one location to another, sorry, Whenever the characters travel from one location to another, roll 2d4 to determine the number of hours it takes the party to reach their destination. Have the players designate one party member to make a DC 15 Wisdom Survival check on behalf of the group each time the characters travel. On a failed check, double the number of hours the party must travel to reach their destination. Damn. Dangers. There is no safe food to forage in the Mournland, and monsters are everywhere. If the party lingers too long between locations, introduce some random encounter with creatures such as blaze bears, see Appendix A, or blade scouting parties, see the blade scouting party section later in this chapter. Mount Ironrot locations. The following locations are keyed to map 4.1. Oval portal. A 20-foot tall vertical black oval made of glass sits on the muck atop a low hill. The oval reflects the surrounding mist-shrouded landscape with supernatural clarity. The oval looks like a giant mirror, but it functions as a door between here and Sigil. A detect magic spell reveals an aura of conjuration magic emanating from the oval. This oval served as a conduit for powerful teleportation magic in Sire, but the day of mourning rendered its magic unstable. The oval serves as a portal to Sigil while the characters carry the second piece of the rod. If a creature tries to teleport to Mournland using a teleport spell, a plane shift spell, or similar magic, the spell's caster must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the spell fails and has no effect. On a successful save, the spell works, but teleported creatures arrive in an empty space near the oval regardless of their intended destination in the Mournland. A creature that studies the reflection of the Mournland in the oval clearly sees the ruined colossi, the veterans' camp, and Lalos. Otherwise, the view from this hill is limited, offering a glimpse of only the nearest ruined colossus. Ruined colossi. Each time the characters investigate one of the colossi shown on map 4.1, read or paraphrase the following. What was once a massive bipedal war machine made of stone, metal, and wood now lies in ruin. Fragments of the mechanical titan lie scattered about, each piece as big as a barn. These colossi are smaller than Landro and are easily accessible, making the task of searching for them relatively quick. For this reason, no maps of the ruined colossi are provided. You can simply narrate the character's foray into each colossus. It takes 1d4 hours for the characters to search a colossus's wreckage for a docent. At the end of this time, have one character make a DC 17 intelligence investigation check for the group. On a failed check, the characters don't find a docent, but they can't be sure they didn't simply miss it. The characters can spend 1d4 hours to reattempt the check. On a successful check, the characters not only determine that the Colossus's docent is definitely gone, but also uncovering one of the following clues determined by you. Deep tracks. Deep angular boot prints belonging to unusually heavy bipedal creatures lead to and from the wreckage. Examining multiple colossi and triangulating the boot print's direction, no check required, points to the village of Lalos. Second party. Smaller, fresher boot prints made by lighter bipeds meander aimlessly about the wreckage. It's impossible to discern the aim of these lighter bipeds from these tracks alone. Skilled extractor. The docent was removed with surgical precision, likely by someone who knew exactly what they were looking for. Landro. This unusually large colossus contains the third piece of the rod of 7 parts. Landro is described later in this chapter. Veterans Camp. A crumbling stone bridge crosses a river of indigo water. Beneath one of the bridge, soiled leather tents and bedrolls are arranged around a fire pit. This campsite belongs to the ex-soldier Kalith and her 2 companions. See the Siren Veterans section later in this chapter. The veterans rest here between expositions around my map. The veterans rest here between expeditions around Mount Ironrot. If the characters meet the veterans here and aren't hostile to them, Caliph offers to share her group's meager food supplies with the party. Calith's secret. If the characters are friendly with Caliph, she asks to speak with them privately. In a quiet spot, Caliph admits that the aftermath of the day of mourning, she lost several valuable magical items and a purse full of gold that she could have used to stave off the veteran's current financial plight. The items are long gone, and Kayla fears that the other veterans would reject her, or worse, if they found out she once had the money they desperately need and lost it. Regardless of the character's reaction to this revelation, learning it counts as a secret for the purposes of the Power of Secrets rules in this book's introduction. Treasure. A character who searches the area and succeeds on a DC 14 Wisdom Perception check spots a loose brick among the bridge's remains. Behind the brick are a potion of greater healing and a moldy hunk of bread, part of the veteran's provision. Lalos. A windmill towers above this ruined village. The windmill's sides and blades are reinforced with badly rusted steel plates, and the attached wooden outbuilding is in shambles. Muddy roads separate the mill from the ruined buildings. In the center of a nearby intersection stands an eroded stone statue of a humanoid draped in colorful scraps of cloth. Mournland roaming pilgrims, see the Warforged Pilgrim section later in this chapter, turn this ruined mill into an ossuary for fallen Warforged. From this base, pilgrims venture out to find relics or lost Warforged. As such, 2d4 pilgrims, use the Warforged Warriors stat block in Appendix A, remain in Lalos to guard the mill or patrol its surroundings. When no expedition is underway, 13 pilgrims, including their leader Mercy, who also uses the Warforged Warrior stat block, occupy Lalos. The pilgrims defend their home against attackers, but they flee when they're outmatched. The following locations are keyed map 4.2. Founder's statue. Colorful scraps of fabric drape over the shoulders of the outstretched arm of the statue. The Warforged pilgrim decorate the statue of Lalos' founder as a gesture of respect. They are grateful to the village's or they are grateful to the village's original builders for creating this space they can use to mourn. Mill. The millstones have been removed from this mill, leaving an empty space. Warforged pilgrims use the mill to plan expeditions. Ossuary. Bodies of deceased warforged line this cleared out basement. Each body is carefully secured to the wall in a dignified pose, back straight, arms crossed, and head slightly lowered. Ruins. Except for the mill, every building in Lalos was destroyed on the day of mourning. Broken stone and rotten timber strewn about the village. Storeroom. Objects the warforged pilgrims deem sacred line the shelves of this storeroom. See treasure below. Oh, don't scare me, Georgie. Treasure. The storeroom contains curiosities and trinkets salvaged from Mournland ruins. Some of these items had magical properties until the day of mourning destroyed their magic. The storeroom's notable treasures include the following. Art objects, clean tapestries, intact sculptures, and leather-wrapped oil paintings are carefully plied in a corner of the storeroom. Although these relics of old sire Altogether, these relics of old sire are worth 2,000 gold. Docents. Half a dozen metal orbs line one shelf, but only one is a functional docent. See the docent section later in this chapter. These items were taken from the area's ruined colossi. A character can touch a piece of the rod of seven parts to the working docent to determine the location of the third piece. See finding the docent later section. Magic ring. An iron ring etched with angelic features hangs from a silver chain on the wall. This is a ring of feather falling. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop here.